In this video, I will be going over the Archfey class specialization in relation to the Warlock class. As stated before, I'm changing the format of these videos so that I will cover all aspects of the base class in a single video and cover the various class specializations in videos more specific to their features. This will ensure a given video is more focused on the topic at hand and less jumpy as in some of my previous videos. Although, depending on the complexity of the class, I could theoretically still be jumping around quite a bit. An Archfey is a lord or lady of the Fey, which are essentially creatures who existed well before mortal races were even thought of or born. Not much is really known about who the Fey actually were. The fact that they were discovered was pretty much an accident. But you can see a few examples here as to those that are known, and there probably are definitely a lot more that exist. And I'm not aware of any, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are some supplements that exist out there that flesh out that list a little bit more fully. So if you're looking to have the players have an option to be able to play a Warlock quite frequently, you might want to look at trying to provide those supplements so they have a wider selection to choose from. And if you're a player, you might request that your Dungeon Master go through the process of actually providing those supplements if they exist. I will try to dig out a few if I can find some and add them to the description of this particular video's comments list or section. As I've already covered all of the basic aspects of the Warlock features in my previous video, let's simply focus on those that you're gaining through the Archfey Patron. The first is something called an expanded spell list. So let's open this up and just set this aside. And I believe the next one we will be gaining initially is Fey Presence. I don't think we get that one yet. That we get a little later on. So let's go over what these two particular features actually give us. So in relation to the Archfey expanded spell list, what this feature is giving you is whenever you have the option to choose an additional Warlock spell, you can also consider these spells as something that you can choose, but you can see that they are also level locked, meaning that you can choose these two at first level. This one would be classified as a second level spell. Third level spell would be this, a fourth level spell would be these two, and a fifth level spell would be these. So when you unlock the ability to actually cast first level spells or second level spells, when it comes to your spell slots, that's when you can actually choose these. This isn't the level you get to choose it from your character's perspective. This is the spell slot level, not the character level, just for point of clarity. So this is something that you could go through and choose a different spell out of if you didn't want to go through the standard Warlock list. And if you recall, you go through the Pact Magic to get at the Warlock spell list. So that's how that goes. The Fey Presence feature gives you the ability to project the level of awe or fear that your patron tends to exude when they're in a particular location. And this is in a 10-foot cube centered around your presence, so that means 5 feet in each direction. Essentially, it's designed to scare away anyone who's in proximity of you from a melee point of view. They will be required to make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save, which in this case would be based on your charisma. And if they fail that saving throw, they're either charmed or frightened, depending on which you have chosen to put them under. They will remain so until the end of your next turn. So let's say you executed your round. You charmed all the creatures that were around you. So they're not going to attack you in any way, shape, or form. That charm remains in effect even through your next turn. So it gives you the option to potentially do something with them. But at the end of that turn, they're going to shrug off that charm effect and begin to do what they were originally doing prior, or do something else that might have been now triggered after they realized, oh, wait a minute, I just got charmed. Holy crap, I'm going to beat the crap out of this particular individual. That kind of thing. So that's essentially what has to happen. You will not be able to use that feature again until you finish a short or a long rest. So this means this is something that we can add to our Actions tab to be able to track the use of that. So let's go ahead and do that now, because this is something you gain at level 1. I'm going to drop this into our Actions tab, and I'm going to create the Archfey group. And we can see here that it already has a saving throw, but that is actually invalid. Now, I'm going to modify our group to go through and set the base to be everything that we're going to make use of here. So this could be a charisma. This is also going to be charisma, and this is generally also going to be charisma. Now, this might change depending on the group itself, but for now, I'm going to leave that. And in this case, I'm going to set this up to be a one use between rests. And that just saves my need of going through and configuring anything that I throw in here. Now we can see that our saving throw has now corrected to the proper value. This is correct, and if we were to look at this, it will say it's a wisdom saving throw against the group DC. Well, the group DC comes from this, and that's what this is, the save DC. It is a wisdom saving throw because that's what they're going to be rolling against. Perfect. All right. The next thing is it's going to go away after use. So if I go into combat, you'll see that our ability isn't there anymore. Now, if I go and execute a short rest for a particular character, it should return, which it does. And if I use it again, it goes away. If I execute a long rest, it returns. Excellent. So it's working the way that we want to there. Well, how does this work in combat? Well, you'll notice that there is no charmed or frightened effect here. Well, we can go through and add that. Essentially, what we will do is create a new effect. And we're going to do two of them. One is going to be a charm effect, one is going to be a frighten effect. And this gives you the option to go either or with that particular feature. So I'm going to go Fey Presence, semicolon, and I'm going to go Charmed, and I'm going to go with 1 round. And it's, yeah, there's nothing there that we need to set. So we'll set it at 1 round. Does it have turn? No, it's round. Okay, so we'll leave it at round. And then we'll do the same thing, except this time we'll set up Frightened. And actually, I've got to fix this because Charmed has to be lowercase. So instead of Charmed, it will be Frightened. So Fey Presence, semicolon, Frightened. And again, it will be 1 round. Now what this does is this gives us the ability to set whichever effect we want. So let's say I've got nobody in here. 1 second. Let me update my combat tracker to include our Archfey. There we go. Pop that open. So if I go to this ape, for instance, I could potentially charm that ape. So I can trigger a saving throw roll, which it rolled and failed. Not sure why it rolled a d4, but that could be a benefit of the ape. Oh, the gas spore. Hang on a minute. There we go. So, now that I'm this character, let's go ahead and roll that against the ape. Now, again, why are you rolling 1d4? Doesn't matter. It still failed. Now I can either choose Charmed or fail. So I'm going to choose Charmed. So now that ape is Charmed. Oh, I see. It rolled this because of this from the previous videos that I had done. I left that effect in place, apparently. I'm not overly worried about that. So now this ape is Charmed. So let's move the turn ahead. And I'm going to spin through. And let's keep an eye on when that... Interesting. Okay. Oh, it rolls its d6 for whenever it recovers the breath weapon. Which it did. Now, you'll notice that the ape has the charm effect still there. It now goes away. So, unfortunately with Fantasy Grounds, there is no way to tag it as the end of the turn thing, which I really wish that there was. Because technically that charm should go away after you have completed your turn. That's the definition of, where is it? Until the end of your next turn. Only at that point should it go away. Well, unfortunately, we don't get that round. Or get that ability. It's 1 round. Let's see. Yeah, so there's nothing that we can do about that for now. But that completes setting up that ability for what we want it to do for now. So, and that's it. We're done with level 1 features. So at level 6, we gain the ability to cast Misty Escape. So let's take a look at this particular feature. With the Misty Escape feature, you are essentially giving yourself an exit strategy. You have the ability to transport yourself or teleport yourself up to 60 feet away to an unoccupied space that you can physically see. When and only when you take damage, you can use a reaction to execute this. So what'll happen is when you do use this, you will turn invisible. You will then teleport to a destination of your choosing within 60 feet as a reaction. And you will remain invisible until the till the start of your next turn, or until you actually execute an attack or cast a spell. You cannot use this again until you finish a short or a long rest. So this is definitely something we're going to want to add to our actions tab. We do that simply by dragging and dropping it into place, as we have done multiple times before. I'm just going to copy this and paste that into place. Now, you'll notice one thing that isn't here. Invisibility is not actually added to this particular feature. We need to go through and do that. So we need to create a new effect that is invisibility. So let's just simply do this. This will be Misty Step, semicolon. Sorry, not Misty Step. I'm used to that word. Misty Escape, semicolon, invisible. It'll be 1 round, and it's on self only. So your movement will be handled manually by you or the Dungeon Master. But now when you actually execute this, you click the effect and you will remain invisible. So if you look here, you will remain invisible. Nobody should be able to see you. Once the round is done, so if we open this up again, I will move the round past this point, and we should see that by the time things come around, it goes away. Perfect. That's what we want in this particular case. And that sets everything up for Misty Escape, which means we're done with this particular ability. That also completes everything that we need to do for level 6. So let's move on to the next feature. So at level 10 is when you gain your next feature. In this case, it is going to be Beguiling Defenses. And you essentially gain the ability to take a charm effect that is thrown your way and fling it back at the caster. You are immune to all charm effects, so you cannot be charmed going forward. But there really is no way to indicate this outside of putting in a fake, quote-unquote, if you will, effect. So let's drop this into place, and we'll move this down to the Archfey. And what you can actually do here is create... It has an effect called Charmed here, which is not unexpected. That is because if you successfully turn the charm back at the caster, they're going to be charmed. But what about yourself? Well, if you're immune to charm, we should probably have something that indicates that. And this is really going to do nothing more than tell the DM not to cast the charm effect against you. So, Beguiling Defenses is what we'll call this. Defenses, semicolon, charmed. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Immune, charmed. It doesn't expire, and it only can be on you. Now what'll happen is whenever you get dropped into the combat tracker, you just simply click this so that that effect is always there. And that will tell the Dungeon Master that you are immune to charm effects. Now, as for the wisdom saving throw, we've already got this set up so that it should go through and potentially set this up. But there is a bit of a catch. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC, which, by the way, is perfect because now we could actually go through, simply click on the magnifying glass here so that this automatically updates. It's going to be a wisdom saving throw. It's going to use the group DC, which is already set here. That's what we want. Perfect. We're done. That's all we have to do to set up Beguiling Defenses. Except for one thing. There is, in fact, one thing that is missing. This charmed effect doesn't last for 0 rounds. it lasts for 1 minute as a maximum duration, or until that creature takes damage. So that's what we have to do for here. So I've just changed that duration to 1 minute. And I'm going to also update the description here. Beguiling defenses, semicolon, charmed, so that we know that if they got charmed, it's because Beguiling defenses threw it back at them. And that way it just adds a little bit of clarity. And that's everything we need to do when it comes to our level 10 features. The last Archfey feature that is going to come into play will be gained at level 14, and it is called Dark Delirium. And what this feature allows you to do is trick a creature that you can see who happens to be within 60 feet of you into thinking that they are lost in a misty realm of your choosing. There's always going to be mist, but you can describe the world at your choosing. And as a dungeon master, when you make use of this particular feature, I'm going to ask you to describe what that realm looks like. So you're going to want to have something prepared when you do that. They do have to make a saving throw. In this case, it's going to be a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock DC check, which in this case would be your charisma ability. And if they fail that particular saving throw, they are either charmed or frightened. And again, this is your choice as to whether they are charmed or frightened. In addition to that, they are more or less of the opinion they're stuck in this misty realm, therefore lost in that misty realm. They will remain in that condition as long as you concentrate, or until they take damage. So the minute they take damage, that illusion will go away. And then once you've used this, you will need to take a short or a long rest in order to be able to use it again, essentially. So let's go through and set this up. It is something that will be added to our Actions tab. So we simply set this up by dragging and dropping it into our action sheet. Copy and paste everything into there. And pretty much everything should be ready to go for us for the most part. I'm going to pop this open so that our saving throw is corrected. And then I'm going to modify the description of this charmed effect so that we know where it came from. Dark Delirium, charmed. And I'm going to put a C on the end of this to indicate to the Dungeon Master that it has to be concentrated on. But I'm also going to add a new effect because charmed might not be the choice I decide to make. And I'm going to copy all of this and modify this and create a frightened effect. There. And that sets up everything that we might want to do with this particular Dark Delirium. Sorry, I have no idea why my voice was cracking. That actually completes everything that we need to do for Archfey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will see you in the next one. I wish to thank you for taking the time to watch this particular video. I hope you found it informative and useful to familiarizing yourself with Fantasy Grounds in general, and that you had fun in the process. If you found the video useful and you liked the content of the particular video, go ahead and click that like button to let me know. And if you have any questions specific to the topic covered by this particular video, or just have some comments in general, please feel free to post something in the comment section, and I will do my best to respond to any questions that are asked. Additionally, I do release content quite regularly, and it's generally specific to Fantasy Grounds or 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons at this time. So if you'd like to be notified when new videos come out, go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell to ensure that notification is sent to you when I release a new video.